Hello and welcome to Julie Hall Designs. As always, I'm Julie Hall and I'm happy to have you with me today. Today I want to show you how I create a water bottle carrier, and I'm going to show you how to do that for any size water bottle so that you can make it to suit the one that you personally have. I personally have used cam snaps, I've used a 500ml bottle, and I've lined and used vinyl. I've created it with D-rings, and I've taken the lazy gal route of using a purchased strap, and I collect my straps from op shop handbags, which is a great way of recycling. So I know this is going to be the perfect back to school project, a great way for kids to have something personalised as well as something that they're not going to lose. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is look at what we need to make our water bottle carrier. So I've just got a water bottle here that I've purchased off from Kmart, and I think it's about a 500ml bottle. Now what you're looking for is the circumference of the bottle plus 2 centimeters. Okay, so plus that 2 centimeters, 3/4 of an inch amount of fabric. You also want to create a strap, and here I have, and mine was quite honestly an off cut lengthwise, so I've got a 10.5 inch by 1.25 inch strip of vinyl, and I've drawn a line down the center, and what I'm going to do is come through and fold the fabric into the center and then stitch that down, and that's going to create the straps that I need for my project. I've also got 2 D-rings, and these are just D-rings that I had in my stash. I have a piece of lining fabric, and I will also use and I love going to the op shops and buying, those really cheap, $1, $2 bags, because the handles on them are generally still great. So I'm not creating my handle. Instead, I'm using a handle that I already had in my stash. Okay, let's get started by creating our strips of fabric. So I've got my machine set here. So I've got a basic straight stitch. I'm going to increase it to a 3mm stitch, and all I'm going to do is fold that fabric in fairly close to the line. Okay, so that is our straps completed, and now what I'm going to do is come through, and I want to measure how long I need those straps to be. And look, quite honestly, I'm going to take those to the halfway point. We're going to set this at 2.5. So the strength comes from this stitching here, and that's going to hold our water bottle in place. So what we have now is that cross piece of fabric ready to go into our water bottle carrier. So if we come back over to our workbench, what we can see is the diameter of our water bottle. Now I'm not giving specific instructions simply because everybody's is going to be different. But if I look here at mine, I've got 23 centimeters. If I fold that in half, that gives me 11.5. If I then fold that into quarters, what we've got, and actually, so we've got 1, 2, and 3, 4 points where we are going to lay our bottom crosshatch fabric. So it will go 1, 2, 3 and 4. And it really doesn't matter where we started, because it's much more about where everything finishes. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to stitch 1, 2, 3 and then 4 pieces onto my vinyl. Is just come through, line that up with a pin as for where it should be, and I'm really giving it a scant 1/4 inch only, because we are going to put a lining in here. Okay, so now if I pull this out, you'll see where I'm coming from. And oops, I'll grab my now slightly battered drink bottle, and you can see that that drink bottle is going to sit quite nicely in that space. Before we put the lining on, and I am going to go through and just trim a couple of those, what I want to do is also put on the D-rings that we're going to have at the top of our carrier. So again, I'm just folding over that fabric halfway, and I want to mark up halfway around both of these sides, so that I can come through, and I've got my 2 D-ring holders that I've created, and I'm going to stitch those down in the same manner as we did the base. So now that we've got them in, we can come through, and we are going to use our clips to come through and line up and I'm just grabbing my smaller clips out of here. And this is going to be fiddly sewing. No two ways about it. You're going to be resetting as you go around, because we had to get those curvy bits in. So we're going to stitch through to about there and there, so that then we can do the turn through. And I'm going to return this to a smaller stitch. Take your time. It really is just all about getting the best finish out of the project. Okay, let's come over to our workbench and see how we are doing. I am going to trim all of my corners and then bring the project right sides out. Okay, next step is we're going to press, and pressing or top stitch really becomes up to you. We don't press on the vinyl itself. Press on the back side, but not the vinyl itself. And most of the time you can get a pretty good and firm stitch with that. So the last step that we're going to do is we are going to close up that seam, and as we do that, we're actually going to insert evenly down the way 3 tabs from our leftovers that are going to be what holds our water bottle together. So I've got my tabs in, and we're going to stitch all the way down there, which is going to create the snap tabs. Okay, so what I like about this style is that you can have different size bottles in here if you wish. So I can have one for this size bottle, for instance, and then if I've got a slightly larger bottle, I could have the tabs going closer or further away. But I like mine not to rattle around, so I am going to come through, and what I've got here is my Cam Snap kit box. And look, I think I'm going to use these grey, and I'm going to use them for a couple of reasons. The first is that they are just a little bit larger, and so they're really going to work well, and I think they're going to blend in quite well as well. And what I'm going to do is come through, and I want to match up my sides. I'm just going to bring that over so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So I want to match up my sides and then pierce through all of those layers, which I know is a bit of a hassle. So then it is simply a case of taking your pieces and using your Cam Snap kit to put them all together. So now is the time to trial. We pop our water bottle in, and that is very firmly held together. I can then add my straps onto that, and the only other thing that I think I'm going to do is I am going to put an attachment on so that I don't lose the lid. So the lid has to stay on. But other than that, I think that is a pretty great water bottle carrier, perfect for taking back to school. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Until next time, have a stitching day. Bye.